Okay, about time for another update video. It's been a very long time since I had the nerve to shoot another update video. I made a lot of progress in the meanwhile. I was working away on many different things. I think my last video was about replacing part of the metal sheet underneath the trailer right in the front up by the black water tank. As you can see now, I'm in the process of completing the roof. Up in the roof section here, there are no more bad spots. Everything has been replaced. Everything has been taken care of. I'm down to putting up the last few sheets of plywood. And as I mentioned earlier, I'm actually putting a crown into the roof. This trailer did not have a crown roof in the beginning. It just had the metal aluminum roof with EPDM membrane glued on the top, and obviously that was the wrong system. Someone Mickey Moused around after the fact. So now I am putting down a crown roof with plywood sheeting and then EPDM on top. So now you can see that we are actually working on the plywood, and you can kind of see when I move the camera down. Oh, there it is. There you can see the crown. On the fifth wheel like this, it's a little bit complicated to put down a crown roof. It's not too bad, but there are a few little things that you need to take care of, and that's mainly, you can see how there's the upper section and then it goes down into the lower section of the roof, and that shape is just a little bit tricky to work with when you have to accomplish a curvature in two different planes. So here we have the curving around the longitudinal section of the trailer, and then this curvature here is around the lateral section of the trailer. So accomplishing both at the same time, that's a little bit, it takes some tweaking until you get it, but it's doable. Another problem area might be, through holes. So here we got a vent there and a vent there. I did not even cut out the skylights yet. There would be the skylight right about there, close to the edge of the trailer. That's above my bathroom. And then obviously here's my fridge vent. And there are more skylights here on the other side. So here I'm not quite finished, but I'd like to show you how I am doing the crown. So you can see down here by the skylight, there's the skylight. This here is the original roof truss, and onto the roof truss at a certain distance from the edge, this distance here, I am putting a 2x2 strap to raise the center of the roof up. I am putting down a certain distance in between the edge and this high point. I'm putting down a 1x2 strap, just a little lower. It gives me a little bit extra support, and obviously the same is done on the other side. Okay, that's what I'm fastening my plywood to, and I'm fastening it right down at the edge to the fastening strip down there. Okay, so now the transition between two pieces of plywood. Again, since I'm strapping it lengthwise along the trailer, it is not critical that these pieces, that the piece of plywood end up right on a rafter. It's not critical. They can kind of end in between two rafters, and that's exactly what's happening here. Alright, so here's my rafter, and this last piece of plywood ends right here. So, however, the important thing that you need to do is to to make the transition strong, you need to put a strap, just like a little support piece, in between the two pieces of plywood. And the way I do it is I just cut a strip of OSB, and it's like literally just a strip of OSB like this, and this one is about 4 inches wide, and it kind of slips in underneath and then sits underneath here, and I'm fastening it down with, most importantly, glue. Good strong construction glue, like this PL, 3 times stronger. Just anything you can get at Home Depot will work. So, and then I'm using just drywall screws to suck this support piece down, or in this case up to the plywood. And then once the glue sets, you got full strength in that. So my next step here is, since there is the next piece of plywood right there, this one has to go down. My next step here is to apply another bead of glue. Go right across like that. Oh, I'm about to run out. Obviously I had to run out. Okay, so once I load a new cartridge of glue in here, I'll be able to finish this, and then all you do is pull the plywood up and fasten it down. Now the plywood is also 96 inches long, trailer is 95 inches wide, so there is a 1-inch strip left over on one end. If you're smart, you keep it flush on one end, on one side of the trailer, and then let it hang over on the other side, so you have to cut only once. Okay? That works. So now, okay, there's another little trick here. We have a crown in the lower section of the trailer, and we have a crown in the upper section of the trailer, however, not in between. Right, this is just a straight slope. There are no spacer strips running longitudinally here. So my trick was here to cut this piece of plywood that I'm sitting on right now, which has a crown. I cut it to conform to the slope of this transition section of the trailer, which doesn't have a crown. So once you it's a little bit tricky to cut it, but the easiest way to get this right is to let the two-by-two strip that is running right underneath here. It's running right underneath here and ends right about here. Actually, it ends right about here. I'm eyeballing it now. So you let that end here, and then you take a straight edge and you run the straight edge along until it just hits the slope piece of plywood, like that. You measure the distance from where it hits to where the 2x2 ends, and that is the distance that you need to leave on this high section of the plywood. Right, so you can see that I notched this section of plywood in a certain way, right? So this is the piece that you need to leave, and then you do the same thing on the lower part of it, and there it gives you another distance that you need to leave, and then everything else gets cut. Alright, so the way it worked out, from the edge of where the slope starts to go up to the upper section, I needed to leave about 2 inches here, and then mark your line down, and then if you continue this line on, I needed to leave about 7 inches here, and yep, again, take your next mark here and cut a straight line down, and it's symmetrical, so you do the exact same thing on the other side, and there you go. Now you got a pretty close fit of the crown section into the sloping non-crown section. Again, it's just an experience thing, and you know, I'm probably, for most people, this is gonna go wrong. The first time it actually did go wrong for me, but you learn and you make your experiences. Anyway, it worked out really well. You know, once everything got screwed down, you can kind of see that there is actually virtually no gap. So, no gap in between those two pieces of plywood. Worked out quite well. So I do have a little bit of a step in here. You can see that there is a little bit of step because it did not, this piece here laps over top of the lower piece, and this gap will have to be filled, and the way I'm going to do it is very simple. Body filler, use Bondo. It's kind of epoxy based material, or it's a 2-component with a hardener. It's going to get really strong, and before I apply the EPDM, all those little gaps in the plywood are going to have to be filled anyway, so I'm going to fill this one as well. It's going to work out quite well, I think. Probably by the end of the day here, I am going to start working on the EPDM. I will discontinue this update now, finish up, and in my next update I'll probably talk a little bit about all the stuff that went on inside the trailer, because got a lot of work done in there too. I'm pretty much in the assembly phase now, and it's quite exciting to see it come together with all the improvements. So till next time, cheers.